In today's video of the latest NHL trade rumors from around the league, tonight we're focusing on the Penguins, the Capitals, and the Senators. We have news on the Rasmus Andersson suspension appeal. We have news from the NHL regarding its pride tape ban. We also have some injury updates regarding David Savard of Montreal, pretty severe injury there. Noah Hanifin and the Flames appear to be getting close on a contract extension. All that and more coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a lot of news to cover here today. It's been a very, very busy NHL action day. It's Frozen Frenzy, of course. This Tuesday, we have all 32 NHL teams in action. It's been a fun evening here so far with tons of games taking place with a staggered schedule. The NHL certainly hit this one out of the park. It's a great, great job. Obviously, people have been able to watch lots of hockey, channel surf between the games, catch a lot of different aspects of different games. You're able to jump between them. It's a beautiful thing, and it's something they need to do more often, for sure. So I really hope the NHL learns from this and says, okay, this went well. We need to do this like pretty often, even if it's once a month. I know their schedule's already put together for this campaign for the full season, so it's they've already got stuff built in and planned for it, but it needs to be a more regular thing for sure. Some updates around the NHL. First of all, we know Montreal Canadiens defenseman David Savard, who had I guess you'd call it a bit of a heroic shift last night in their game against Buffalo, blocked multiple shots in the same shift, same penalty kill, ended up losing a stick, and then he lost a skate blade, and one of those, you could tell he was hurt badly. When he did finally get off the ice, he didn't return, and you knew it was a fairly serious injury. Word is now it's a fractured hand, and he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So David Savard going to be down for a while in Montreal. They do have lots of young defensemen looking for playing time, so we'll see what they decide to do. I'm not sure. There was some speculation before that they might consider trying to add another veteran defenseman in the mix there, especially with Wideman not being in the mix yet due to injury as well. So we'll see what the Habs do, but Savard not going to be part of their plans here for the next little while, probably close to 2 months by the looks of things. Craig Andersson had his big retirement night in Ottawa tonight as they took on the Buffalo Sabres in Canada. Obviously, the bulk of his career, the most success of his career was spent with the Sens. Spent 20 years total in the NHL, a decade of which, which is half of his time in Ottawa. Their all-time leader in several goaltending categories. Andersson, of course, was a guy who brought stability to that crease for a long, long time. And really, at the end of the day, when he didn't really want to leave, when they parted ways, he was getting older. They thought he might retire. Look what they did. They went and got Matt Murray. Then they went and got Cam Talbot. He went on and played a couple more years in Buffalo. Like, maybe they should have stuck with the older Andersson veteran, because those other guys were, never worked out and just wasted a bunch of money and draft capital and et cetera, getting them. I mean, in the case of Murray, look what they had to do to, draft capital to acquire him, add a sweetener to make him go away. And of course, Cam Talbot comes over for Gustafsson, leaves as a UFA. Just not great management amongst the goaltending there. I mean, we'll get into their game with the Sabres here a little bit later, but it's a bit of a gong show there in Ottawa tonight. But the Craig Andersson retirement ceremony was well-deserved. They did a goalie face-off because he was doing the ceremonial puck drop, which was cool. And they had Anton Forsberg and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who were the starting goaltenders for Ottawa and Buffalo, respectively, to come to center ice and do a goalie face-off. I thought it was kind of neat and certainly fitting considering what was taking place that night. So congratulations, Craig Andersson, on a solid career. And I know he's going to be working with the Sabres on a part-time basis with their basically with their goaltenders as like a liaison, I guess is what they called them. So I'm good to see him still involved with the game. He's a good person, great goaltender, had a great career. So good on him, and glad to see Ottawa honor him. Rasmus Andersson of the Flames did have his appeal heard by Gary Bettman on his 4-game suspension. Ultimately, Gary Bettman has decided that no changes are going to be made and that they're upholding that 4-game suspension. The NHLPA did put forth an appeal for him trying to get it reduced to 3 games, and it sounds like a lot of that was the fact that they have the Heritage Classic coming up this weekend, the outdoor game against the Edmonton Oilers, and obviously they didn't want to see the punishment be so severe that he ended up missing that, but he's going to be out for Calgary. McDavid's likely going to be out for Edmonton. Certainly not what you want to see from an entertainment perspective or from the league, from a more of a... just obviously from a, fan perspective, you want all the top stars to be in the mix there. But at the end of the day, though, Andersson's suspension's upheld. Bettman didn't feel like it was anything wrong with the decision from player safety and George Parros. So nothing changes. I am surprised, though, that he had it heard and had to argue his case and get a decision so quickly. That's not something you see very often. Some people also thought that they could have went to an independent arbitrator, but that's only when it's more than 5 games. When it's less than 5 games, it goes directly to the commissioner and the commissioner only. So I wouldn't mind seeing a process, though, with having something different in there, to have a non-partial outsider look at things, because obviously Gary Bettman, you got to wonder if he was really going to overrule player safety. It'd have to be pretty egregious, I would think. It's not often you see something like that happen. Speaking of the league, we did get a statement put out earlier. We know, I'm sure most of you are aware, I haven't talked about it on the channel, but a while back, I think in the last week, the NHL had put a ban on using pride tape. And regardless of what your feelings are on the situation and, having pride nights or any of that stuff, that doesn't really matter, because the NHL had already decided that they weren't going to be moving forward. They're not using those special jerseys anymore, not having that. But, for players, if they really want to support a cause, what's the big deal? At the end of the day, they got a lot of negative publicity, a lot of negative feedback. This was kind of a big, mishandling of the situation, in my opinion. They've now changed the policy so that essentially if players want to support any, not just pride, but any social causes by using any kind of special tape on their sticks, they're permitted to do so. And of course, it's all completely voluntary. If you don't want to take part in any kind of social causes, you don't have to, and you shouldn't have to. This is just the easiest way to get a win-win for everybody. That way, the players who want to support stuff and they want to do it, have at her. And if you're not comfortable, you don't want to, you don't support that, then you don't. It's just that simple. That way it kind of keeps everybody's beliefs out of it, and it's just you do what you want to do. And obviously that's where things are at now. That was a collaborative approach by the NHL, the NHLPA, and I believe they have an inclusion committee as well within that. So obviously that's been something that's kind of suspected was going to happen. We've seen Travis Dermott of Arizona use the pride tape the other night, and nothing came from it. So I figured they weren't going to enforce it. They don't want to be the ones, fining a player for using special tape, just in warm-ups at that. So anyways, that has been changed. No big surprises there. Noah Hanifin and the Flames are reportedly very close to a contract extension. We don't know when this is going to be announced, but I know Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet's been all over this, talking about how they made a lot of progress. And I think it was yesterday, there was word that Noah Hanifin was going to speak to the media in the afternoon. And a lot of people just assume that, they must be planning to announce his contract extension, since word is that they're making good progress and what. That's not what happened at all. He did talk to the media. He did say that when there was time to announce something, they would let them know. But ultimately, he said that, they talked about how, having an open mind, feelings kind of changed a little bit once you had a chance to kind of simmer on things all summer, come back, see all the changes, and just kind of reflect on everything. And obviously have the team, start talking to your agent about, what things could look like on an extension. Obviously some of these players, you can easily have a change of heart. And sometimes you look at it and after examining what your options might be out there, it's not always, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So right now, the Hanifin extension, if I had to guess, I would say that when it's done, it's probably going to be a 7 or 8 year deal, and somewhere around the $7.5 or so million range, give or take a little bit. That's probably where things are heading. I mean, if they get a good team-friendly deal, maybe they'll get a 7x7. I don't know. I don't know if it'd be quite that low. I think it would be more realistically like either. I don't think it's going to be 8x8 either. I think it'll come in under that. So that's why I think it's somewhere around 7.5, 7.75, maybe, or 7.25, somewhere in that range. That's kind of where I think things are heading there with the Flames in Hanifin, and we'll see when we find out. It's hard to say exactly when a decision will be reached and a contract extension will be agreed upon by all parties. Looking at the trade section of the video, Washington has been off to a horrid start, as we know. They lost again tonight to the Leafs, although Ovechkin did finally get on the board, his first goal of the season. His 300th power play goal of his career, which I believe is a record as well. So phenomenal career for Ovi, as we know, but the team right now, it looks slow and washed. Backstrom, Kuznetsov's totally disengaged. Ovi's trying, but there's some nights he barely gets the puck even. So this team is in trouble for sure, and I already predicted that they wouldn't make the playoffs. Looks like I'm going to be right on that one. At least that's the way things are trending, seriously. But right now, though, one name that keeps popping up, I've seen in a few rumor mills that moves they could make would be TJ Oshie is probably one of the main players on that roster that will garner attention for a potential trade later in the year that teams will be interested in picking up, especially if the Capitals can retain some money. Now, he does have one more year in his deal. And he does, I believe there's some trade protection in his contract too, so obviously he may have to waive or be okay with the deal to make it happen. It just depends on the teams all involved here, but at the same time, we know Oshie's a competitive guy and certainly wants to win. He's had a fair bit of his health issues, though, in the last number of years. That could be a deterrent if the teams, are going to want Washington to retain 50%. I'm sure the Capitals are going to expect a decent return. I don't know if there's much of a market for a guy like Kuznetsov. I mean, they've got a long-term deal on Backstrom. I'm not really sure. I know they want to move Mantha, but that's really tricky. Thankfully, he's on his final year. They don't have a ton of tradable contracts there for the guys that they probably wouldn't mind moving on from, at least in my opinion. So Oshie, though, has been the name that's been mentioned by a few NHL reporters and insiders as, a team that, or a player that teams are kind of just keeping an eye on. There's, early in the season, the teams that consider themselves contenders are thinking long-term what might be due later, and they're looking at teams that get out of the gate slow and, watching, players that might become available later, and he's a guy that certainly fits that bill, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Pittsburgh has had another loss tonight against Dallas. They're not having a good start to the season. Of course, Kyle Dubas came in as the new GM. Of course, he made a big splash by acquiring Erik Karlsson, and so far things just haven't really worked out for the best. The power play has not been good. Malkin started off good. Crosby's not been okay. I guess individually, they get a few individual performances that are going well, but especially the bottom half of the lineup is not at all what Kyle Dubas was hoping for. The athletic writers that cover the Penguins have been saying that the Penguins and Dubas have been scouring the waiver wire. They're looking for upgrade opportunities hardcore within their bottom six and their third pair defensemen. I know they haven't been overly pleased with their third pair D. Pierre-Olivier Joseph is one name that has kind of struggled to start the campaign. Obviously they picked up Jensen Harkins and then they put him back on waivers. They brought up Zahorna. They're just not getting consistent good playing time from those roles, right? So Dubas is kind of, scouring the league for bottom six help, and he's looking through trade options, waiver wires, just looking to get this back on track and see what they can do. Clearly, it's more than just that. Obviously, their top guys need to get going and carry this team too, especially when they get power play opportunities, and that's not really happening right now. So, but look for Dubas to be active here after a slow start from Pittsburgh. And after a really good start in Ottawa, they've now dropped 2 straight. Tonight's game against the Sabres was an absolute gong show. They were down 5-1. They did come all the way back to 5-4 to make it very interesting right to the final buzzer. Actually, it ended up being 6-4. The Sabres did sneak one in with a couple seconds left on an empty netter. But, at the end of the day, it was just really apparent tonight that they need some change. And Shane Pinto needs to get signed and get in this lineup, and we need to see a trade to make that happen. To be completely honest, after tonight, I would not be surprised if Michael Landlauer and Steve Staios even make a significant change, whether it be behind the bench or in the front office. I know they probably went into this saying they're going to be patient. I don't know that. I mean, maybe we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. But and I'll show you a picture here of they showed the suite where Pierre Dorion was sitting tonight watching the game, and then Michael Landauer and Steve Staios come into the camera, and the look on Dorian's face, like, to me, he looks like a guy who was ready to crap his pants. Like, he just was kind of looking over his shoulder. He looked nervous. The energy that he's reflecting watching this game, like, I know it's obviously a bad game, but like, you know, I don't expect him to be happy by any means, but he just, I don't know. Like, it's pressure and it's building. There was fire DJ chants in the crowd tonight in Ottawa, which is not something we've seen before. I know there's been a portion of the fan base that have been looking for a change. I mean, he's been there a long time. He's a really likable guy. He's one of those guys that, as a person, he just seems like a really good dude. The players do really, really like him. But at the end of the day, if he's not the right coach to get them to where they need to be, they'll understand. It's a business decision. If that's what it turns out to be, that they need to make a change, then that's what it'll be. I mean, they're professional athletes. They're grown men. They're going to understand that. You know, just because they like him, it doesn't mean that he's the absolute best coach. I mean, they come out tonight in Buffalo, or at home against Buffalo, and just looked like absolute dog crap. There were some bouncing pucks, all the bounces, everything that could have went bad for them against them went for them. They also had an embarrassing moment to start the third period. At the end of two periods, it was they were down. They had allowed 5 goals. They're down 5-1. You could see as they went off to the dressing room for the second intermission, DJ Smith go to Korpisalo because Forsberg was playing. Korpisalo was on the bench tonight. And he made a gesture to Korpisalo like you're going in for the third. But then when they come out for the third period, they know nobody told Forsberg. And he's out there in the net right in the start. And the coaching staff sends Travis Hamonic over to say, oh, you're pulled. Korpisalo's coming through. Like, how embarrassing for the coaching staff is that? If I'm Forsberg, I'm going to be livid because you just embarrassed me for no reason. Like, everything was going so well for this team. So well. And they just, the last 2 games, especially tonight, absolutely just killed all that momentum. And I don't know. I'm not one to hit, like, you know, like suggesting that they hit the panic button quickly, but man, oh man, like, that team was just not ready tonight. I don't know, something's got to give. They got to get Pinto in the lineup. They need to get something changed there. Kubalik has been disappointing in 6 games, no points. He's been demoted. To me, he's a perfect salary to move to get Pinto signed. I'd be accelerating that. And I do wonder, honestly, if we're going to see some change after tonight's lackluster affair against the Sabres. I mean, the way Landauer and Staios were talking, and you could see them, and Staios was on the phone, like, you got to wonder what's going through their minds too, right? How quickly are they going to pull the trigger, or how patient are they going to be? You know, I don't think it's going to be long before we see change. If they don't do it after tonight, we'll see a few more games. If they get it turned back around, maybe they buy themselves more time. But if it happens quickly, it wouldn't surprise me. So let me know your thoughts on all of today's news and rumors down in the comments. We'll discuss further. We'll be back tomorrow with, of course, a recap video of all the games in the morning and all the news and rumors later in the day as well. So stay tuned for that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.